Yo, what's going on, man? Today is February the 25th. I don't even got my old school flyer, my old school. Let's see if we can get it. Okay, there we go. We got the old school. I don't even got no graphics for today, man. It's a bunch of games on the card. It took me a while to dive into these games, but I do have some looks that I'm ready to share with you guys for sure. Ton of games on the board today. We're not gonna waste too much time. We're gonna get right into it. Coming off a 0-1 day yesterday, it was only I had a half unit on Detroit team total under 108.5, and of course they scored 109 points last night on a Cade Cunningham layup to get the game within two, but it's all good. We'll bounce back. I think 3-1 in my last 4 plays. So we're trending upward. Like I said, it wasn't a big play. It was just a half unit play. Also, probably should have got there with Boston first half. I talked about that yesterday on the live stream for people who tuned in. I know a couple people took it, so shout out to you guys. Hopefully you guys made a little bit more money than I did because that was, like I said, just an 0-1 day yesterday. Didn't really love the slate, but I love some plays for today. So hit the like button for me if you guys can. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And definitely turn the notification bell on so you guys know when I go live, because it has been changing. I have not been going live at the same times. In the evening, yes, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And that's also going to change just a tad bit, but we'll talk about that when we get there. We're going to jump straight into the games. We got a game starting in less than an hour. We got the Milwaukee Bucks, and I got the old school banners as well. We got the Milwaukee Bucks. They will be in Philadelphia. They will be laying 4.5 points in this spot, man. So total in this one went all the way up from 225.5 all the way to 235.5, which is crazy. You don't see 10 points come in on totals, but it has been hit back down to 234.5. And I would agree with the movement there. I think, something to keep in mind is now that we have, meaningful playoff basketball coming up, it's going to be a lot of motivational spots for these teams, especially with a team like the Milwaukee Bucks who are trying to get their identity on the defensive end. We see them go to Minnesota in that last game and really lock them boys up, and especially in that third quarter. And I think they can continue to do that here. Of course, the big narrative in this game is Doc Rivers versus his old team. He'll be playing against Philly, and Philly didn't look bad. They get the win in their last game as well. And they were dogs in that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We know Donovan Mitchell didn't play, but Philly is going to be scrappy. Anytime you have Nick Nurse as a coach, I think it's going to be, they're going to be a scrappy team. I actually lean towards the under in this game. Haven't played it just yet. On the season, and you can't take all these season numbers. You got to take them with a grain of salt, I think, in my opinion. Now that you start to see some movement here, but the Bucks are just 8-13 against the spread on the road, just 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games as a favorite on the road. Early start time games, I did look into that as well. The Bucks, this will be their 4th game that they play early this season, 3-1 straight up, but just 1-3 against the spread. And you look at Philly this season, 2-4 straight up, and against the spread as home dogs, 1-3 straight up and against the spread without Embiid in as home dogs, and then 3-0 straight up and against the spread in early start time games. All of those games they're having Embiid in them as well, though. So, if I'm playing this game, I do think that Milwaukee is the right side. I think that Philly is going to be scrappy in this game, of course. I mean, they have all the motivation in the world, trying to, just stay afloat until they can get Joel Embiid back. But I do think that Milwaukee probably done turned the corner at this point. I wouldn't say turned the corner exactly yet, but I think you got to win games like this. These are statement type games, and I think, with them having, Doc Rivers and kind of getting, the All-Star break to get some practices in and kind of change the trajectory of their season. Because granted, they were winning, but they were not giving up. They were giving up a ton of points. So I think Milwaukee is the right side in this game. I do. Minus the 4.5. I didn't bet it. I'm probably going to stay off of it. But I think the under is the better play, in my opinion. Under 234.5. Total went up 10 points. I think that's a tad bit too many. Philly has really struggled to score, since they've, had all those injuries. The Bucks, 7-1-1 against to the under in February. They allowed just 111 points to the 5th-rated defensive team over the last 5 games. And the Sixers, they've actually been held under their team total in 4 of their last 5 games and 3 straight as well. They're 19th in pace, and they're also 19th in offensive rating over the last 10 games. I think, like I said, it's going to be defense. So Nick Nurse versus Doc Rivers. Give me the under if I had to play anything in this game. But like I said, didn't play anything quite yet. Let's keep going. We'll go to the streets of Phoenix. We got the Lakers, my LA Lakers. They will be on the road getting 4 points in this game. They actually opened at 4.5. Come down to 4 in favor of the Lakers. Total went up, opened at 239, up to 241. I actually think that this game probably goes under as well. Not anything that I played yet. I think, I won't talk about this one long because you do need to know the status of Nurkic, who's listed as questionable. He didn't play in that last game. And they end up losing that game, losing it big time to Houston in Houston. That was also a game that Bradley Beal didn't play in. He's already listed as out in this game, and you got Eric Gordon listed as questionable. So Phoenix is not a team I want to fade when they have everybody, but when they don't have everybody, I'm a little more prone to fading them in spots like this. Now LeBron and Anthony Davis are both listed as questionable, as they always are. The Lakers will continue to be without Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood also now not out there. Taurean Prince still out. Like, this is a depleted Laker team. They will be looking for some revenge. They did lose the last game, but Phoenix also needs to win this game. It's a big divisional game with the Lakers 2.5 games behind Phoenix for that number 8 spot in the Western Conference. As far as spots, Phoenix, this is the third game in 4 nights for them. Like I said, lost both games after the All-Star break. They got smoked in Dallas, and they lose that game in Houston as well. They also don't play as well at home. We know that as well. But for the Lakers, third game in 4 nights as well. They actually lost in Golden State, came back home, got the win against San Antonio, but haven't covered either one of those numbers. Start time wise, this is the Lakers' first early start time of the season. Phoenix 2-1, straight up and against the spread in their early start time games. All of those games were actually played on the road, so take that with a grain of salt. The Lakers are not the greatest road team. We know that. 12-17 against the spread on the road, just 7-12 straight up, and 10-9 against the spread as road dogs. They're also just 5-4 straight up, 7-2 against the spread as road dogs of 4 points or less. So in these closely competitive games, when the Lakers aren't getting 8 or 9 points, they do tend to cover 7-2 as road dogs of 4 points or less. On the season, you look at this Phoenix team. They are 17-8 straight up at home. But they, like I said, they don't cover the number. Just 10-14-1 against the spread as home favorites. They've covered 4 straight as home favorites, though. So they have been turning it around. But you kind of need, in my opinion, you need to know if Nurkic is going to be in there. I gave you guys some numbers. If we remember, like a few weeks ago, when Nurkic had missed some games, I think he had a death in the family, and they had played Sacramento and lost that game. There was another game that they played as well, and they just don't play as well without Nurkic. You can't trust Devin Eubanks and Bol out there at the center position, in my opinion. The numbers kind of back it up. So I'd be looking at Lakers plus the points if Nurkic is ruled out in this game. You already, Eric Gordon also, potentially not being there. I'm not playing the game. I'm not playing the game, but I do lean towards the under, and I'd be taking the points with the Lakers plus 4. I think that they can keep this game close, if not win it, in my opinion. But not a game, like I said, that I'm gonna be invested in. I think it's much better games on the board, in my opinion. One thing I did look at as well was trend-wise, before we move on to the next one. Since 2018, home favorites playing a divisional game with more rest after the game, because I think the Lakers will play. I forgot exactly who they play next, but the Lakers play the Clippers next. And that game, I think, is in 2 days. They play on Tuesday. Phoenix will have a break. They don't play again until Wednesday, I want to say. So home favorites playing a divisional game with more rest after the game since the 2018 season are 29, 18, and 2. So that's 61.7% says that you play Phoenix in this spot, and they should be able to win and cover the short number. Get out, please. All right, so on to the next one. Like I said, it'd be Lakers plus the 4 for me, and I'd be taking the under, but you kind of need to know the status of those guys. Anthony Davis and LeBron James, hopefully both of them play in this game as well. Let's go on to, and let me just correct this real quick, because this is supposed to be a scroll as well. All right, so Mavs and Pacers. I do got to play in this game. I jumped on Dallas in this spot. Dallas, I took them on the money line last night, sent it out. Indiana is a really, really good team, and they play well as home dogs throughout the season. They've done really, really well in that spot. But give me the Dallas Mavericks in this spot. I'll take the healthier team. I'll take the team that is playing a better basketball right now. This Dallas team is fully healthy. I think Dante Exum is on the injury report. Indy, they're not missing a lot of pieces. Neesmith will be out, and Jalen Smith is listed as questionable. He could play in this game, but I don't really think it matters, man. I'm riding with the hotter team. Dallas plays well in this spot. This is a Dallas spot, in my opinion. They're 15-10 straight up on the road, 16-9 against the spread on the road, 11-2 straight up when they're laying points on the road. That's a team that I want to back on the road. 11-2 straight up and against the spread as road favorites. They've actually covered their last 3 and 8 of their last 9. So I like this Dallas team. The additions of PJ Washington, you bring in, you get Derek Lively back in that last game as well. You bring in Daniel Gafford as well. Now, Indy, can't sleep on Indy. 18-11 straight up at home, 12-15-2. I'm sorry, 15-12-2 against the spread at home. So they have been covering 7-4 straight up and 7-3-1 against the spread as home dogs, like I was saying earlier. But Dallas, 8-2 straight up and 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. They've actually won 7 in a row and covered 6 of their last 7. Do you see this line open with Indy laying a point, and now it's flipped to Dallas laying a point? I do think I would agree with that. You also get Indy on the first leg of a back-to-back. They do host Toronto tomorrow, whereas Dallas can kind of go all out in this game because while it is their first road game in quite some time, they don't play tomorrow. Total, I was a tad bit conflicted on. Indy is 8-3 to the over as home favorites. Dallas 8-5 to the over as road. As home dogs. Indy 8-3 to the over. Mavs 8-5 to the over as road favorites. But Dallas has been playing defense, man. They're deep, and that's one of the reasons why I like them in this spot. I do think they're 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games. They really locked up defensively. Now we know Indiana is the number 1 offensive team in the league, so I don't necessarily want to take the under just because Indy's offense is so good. But I could see this game slowing down in the second half. Maybe first half over, second half under. Maybe the first 3 quarters go over, and then you take a fourth quarter under, depending on how many points are scored throughout the first 3 quarters. That's been something that's been very profitable for the members and myself as I've been giving out those plays throughout the game. But real quick, last thing I'll say about Dallas: last 5 games, this team is number 6 in offensive rating, number 3 in defensive rating. They're plus 17.6. They're plus 17. I'm sorry, in their last 5 games. They're the 6th best rebounding teams, 7th in turnover rate. So I mean, all of those numbers are top 10. You look at Indy, it's not too much of a fall off, but they're 11th in offensive rating, 21st in defensive rating. They're the 2nd worst rebounding team over the last 5 games. And I think that's what probably bites them in the butt here. This Dallas team is not going to turn the ball over. They're also going to rebound the basketball. And it's going to be difficult to stop Luka, stop Kyrie. So give me Dallas right here on the money line, man. I played them. I think it was minus 115 when I sent it out last night. But, I mean, that number is widely available. I think, I'm not sure who the public is on, or I don't really get into that stuff. But this is a Dallas spot, in my opinion. I took Dallas, like I said, on the money line. We'll keep it moving. Next game up, we got Cavs and Wizards. I do got to play in this game as well. This will be super quick. So Denny Avdia is I don't even know if most people do know who Denny Avdia is, but Denny Avdia has actually been hooping for the Washington Wizards, and he was listed as questionable. I think he missed the last game when they got smoked in OKC a couple nights ago. I think they lost the game by like 35-40. For as well as Washington has been playing on the road, they didn't cover either one of those spreads against Dallas. I'm sorry, against Denver or OKC. They got smoked in both of those games, lost both of them by 20 plus points. And they really struggle at home as a dog. Washington is 3-23 straight up at home, 8-18 against the spread at home. And then 8-15 against the spread as a home dog this season. This is a spot where you typically take the opposing team first half because Washington has been abysmal in the first half of home games. And they just 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 as a home dog as well. Now, you're laying a big number. This line actually was at 11.5. It was at 11. And then with Denny Avdia, and I don't even think people would think that would impact the game as much, but I absolutely agree. This number has moved to 13. Now, Cleveland, they have been struggling recently. Back-to-back losses. They're 17-9 against the 17-9 straight up, 14-12 against the spread on the road, 7-6-1 against the spread as road favorites this season. They will get Donovan Mitchell back. They've lost both of those games without Donovan Mitchell. And listening to Coach JB Bickerstaff after the game, he said they're not panicking. He understands that they were really hot and they've kind of cooled off a little bit. I think that they can get it back today. I absolutely do. I'm not laying the big number, the 13 number. But that's the only way I would look. Looking into this game with a tad bit deeper, Washington is really just developing players. Like if you go through and look at the minutes that the players have played, they got Jordan Poole coming off the bench now. Like this is not a team that I want to back at all. Total wise, like I said, I'm not on the spread, but total wise, I think you look towards the under, and that's what I played. I played the Washington Wizards team total under specifically. Now, for people that's been watching the show for, you ain't had to been watching it for the past few years, just the past few months. I can't remember exactly when the game was, but we just cashed on the same exact play. We took the Wizards team total under when Cleveland went to Washington. Head-to-head matchup, they're actually 7-3 to the under, both teams in their last 10 games. And the Wizards, their team total is, I'm not sure, maybe I'm tripping, but the Wizards team total is 111.5. They haven't scored 112 points or more in the last 10 meetings that these two teams have played against each other. So I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. Washington also has failed to score 112 points or more in 6 of their last 10 games as well. This Cavs team, they're 10-4 to the under on the road as a favorite. 6 straight unders. They've held 8 of their last. They've actually held their last 8 opponents under their team total as well. I just don't see a world where Washington scores 112 points today. And this total, I think, is probably dropped just a tad bit. But I sent this out earlier this morning to the members. Washington Wizards team total under 112. I'm not sure how many Cleveland scores. They won't need to score as many points because, like I said, Washington's offense is really just kind of falling off a cliff, specifically at home. And the Cavs coming off 2 straight losses, I think they'll be locked in, even though they've already smoked this Washington team a couple times. I think they beat them. Well, I know that they beat them already 3 times this season. I'm not looking for Washington. Even if Washington is competitive, I think it'll be on the defensive end and not so much on the offensive end. So give me the Washington Wizards team total under 111.5 in this spot. A lot of other notes that I can give you guys, but I think those are the biggest ones. Go back and rewind it if you guys joined late. Hit the like button for me if you can, if you joined late as well. Let's keep going. We got the Magic. They will be in Atlanta today, and they will be getting they actually laying a point. The Magic are this line actually opened with Atlanta laying 2, and it's flipped now to Orlando laying 1. And I do think, this is a really, to start with this is a really difficult game. And for me, it's a difficult game because when you think about the injury report, there's no Trae Young, there's no Onyeka Okongwu. So that really makes me want to take Orlando. Orlando has not been good on the second leg of back-to-back games, though. I'll get into it in just a tad bit. They actually, maybe it was a look-ahead spot last night, but they struggled against the Detroit Pistons yesterday and barely won that game. Paolo hit a shot and got fouled by Jalen Duren with 0.8 seconds left. He hit a free throw, and they ended up winning the game by 3. But it was a tie game with less than 10 seconds left. As far as Trae Young not being in, I did do some deep diving. Just wanted to kind of share numbers with you guys. Nothing really changes without Trae Young. This team is a minus 0.1. So, I mean, it's pretty much split without Trae Young on the floor this season. Offensive rating stays at 120. Defensive rating stays at 120. Now, if you go and you add Trae Young out and Onyeka Okongwu out, they're actually a minus 2.1 in differential. So Atlanta, they should be a better defensive team, but I just gave you guys the numbers. The defense still sucks without Trae Young on the floor. On the season, Orlando 35-25 straight up, only 14-17 straight up on the road. They are 19-12 against the spread on the road, though. Like I said, after not covering last night, and in their last 10 games, they've been balling 8-2 straight up. You really just asked them to win the game. 7-3 against the spread in their last 10. Now on the season, they did win 1 game, but Atlanta actually, this is a divisional game for people who don't know. Atlanta plays this team really, really tough. But Atlanta's been so bad recently. 24-32 on the season at home. On the season. 13-16 straight up at home. They're just 8-21 against the spread at home as well. I mean, they couldn't beat Toronto the other day, and Toronto was on the second leg of a back-to-back. They had gotten hot a little bit because over the last 10 games, they are 5-5 straight up, 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. But I can't trust Atlanta right now, man. Now, getting to the Magic on the second leg of a back-to-back, like I was saying, just 3-8 straight up, 6-5 against the spread. They're -7 in point differential when playing unrested this season, are the Orlando Magic. It's mainly the defense that doesn't come to play as much when they're unrested as well. They're allowing 118 points per game. Now, what does Atlanta like to do? Get up and down the floor and score a bunch of points. Whereas if they're playing rested, the Orlando Magic, If they're rested, they only give up 109 points. So that's a 9-point differential right there. When they're playing unrested and they had to travel in the next game, so it's not like a back-to-back that's at home. They're actually 0-4 straight up, and they're minus 13 in point differential. So that's why I couldn't get there with Orlando. Now, are they the better team? I absolutely think so. And should they win the game with no Trae Young and no Onyeka Okongwu? I think so as well. But I could not quite get there. Orlando did just beat Atlanta did just beat Orlando as well, 106-104 on January the 17th. They are the better team. I just couldn't get there. Orlando, like I said, they struggle in the second leg of back-to-backs. I think if anything, you look at Orlando and you just take their team total to go over. Stay away from the spread would be the way that I play this one. The Hawks are 3-1 to the under in home divisional game, so that doesn't necessarily bode well for it. But they also, when you look at the Hawks and they're in these close point spread ranges of like 3 points, where they're either supposed to win the game by less than 3 or lose the game by less than 3. They're 9-3 to the over are the Atlanta Hawks. And I just can't trust them defensively, especially after giving up all those points to Toronto in the last game. Just when you think that you can trust Atlanta, their defense just falls to pieces. So Orlando team total is on my short list. I haven't bet it yet. 113.5 is the number. In the last 4 games, Atlanta has held in the last 14 games, Atlanta has held just 4 of their opponents under their team total. So 10-4 are their opponents on their team total. They've allowed 128 points per game. And it gets worse because at home, they're giving up 130 points per game, and they've held just 2 of their 9 opponents under their team total in their last 9 games. So Orlando team total, their defense, like I said, it falters a tad bit, and they give up 9 more points per game when they're playing unrested. It goes from 108 to 108 to 109. I think it was. What was that number that I gave you guys? I'm sorry. Yeah, 109 is what they give up when they're rested, but 118 when they're unrested. I think that they'll be able to score as well, though. So if I'm playing the game, it's Orlando team total over 113.5 in this one. Staying away from the spread, but Orlando should win the game. I do think that they can win the game. They should be rested, and they could get Markelle Fultz back as well. Next game up, we got the Thunder and the Rockets. This game will be played in H-Town, Houston. I'm not really interested in betting this one. I'll tell you guys that. So this is the first of a little mini back-to-back series, and I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of like to watch the first ones and then bet on what I think is going to happen differently in the second one. These 2 teams will play again on Tuesday. I think that game will be in Houston as well. It is a revenge spot for the Houston for the Thunder. They did lose earlier this year. 110 to 101 in Houston back on December 6th. And OKC does well in revenge spots this season. They're 6-2 straight up and against the spread. When they're revenging the loss, they're plus 11 in point differential. 3-2 straight up and against the spread if those games are on the road, though, however. And on the season, they've been good. OKC has been really, really good recently as well. 16-11 straight up on the road, 15-12 against the spread on the road, 7-3 straight up in their last 10, and 5-5 against the spread in their last 10. They've won 4 straight and covered all 4 going back a couple games before the All-Star break. They mollywopped the Clippers, and then of course they took care of business against the Washington Wizards as well. Houston, they actually got a really, really big confidence boosting win against the Phoenix Suns the other day. And this team, we know that they play a lot better at home than they do on the road. 20-9 straight up at home, 19-9-1 against the spread at home, 3-7 straight up in their last 10, 4-6 against the spread in their last 10, 10-4 against the spread as home dogs this season, including 4 straight covers. Now, I talked about right before the All-Star break not being able to trust this Houston team because they were without Fred VanVleet. But Fred VanVleet has a couple games underneath his belt now back, and I think we kind of saw his impact in that last game. They're also getting big contributions from guys like Cam Whitmore, Sir Thompson. Thompson. It's Sir Thompson. Yeah, Sir Thompson. This is a difficult game. I think 6.5 might be a tad bit too much. I do think that OKC can win this game. They are a much better team, but I think that Houston should be able to keep this game close. You look at OKC; they're just 8-8 against the spread on the road, just 1-3 against the spread. Recently they're 8-8 against the spread on the road as a favorite. 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 as road favorites as well. So I know they were balling. It's probably unpopular opinion, but I think Houston can keep this game close. This is the third game in 4 nights for this Houston team, though. But like I said, they got the big win against Phoenix and probably want to build on that. They probably do want to build on that. Houston is 3-1 straight up and against the spread when they're facing a team that they've already beaten this season. I think the bigger play in this game could be towards the under. Houston showed their defensive prowess in that last game. And in those games when they are home dogs, they typically, trend towards the under. 9-5 to the under as home dogs this season. 7 of the last 10 meetings between the two teams have actually stayed under the total as well. So I think I would stay off the side. I do lean Houston plus 6.5, but I'd be looking towards the under in this game if I had to play it. All right, that's that game. Let's keep going. Nuggets and Warriors. I do have a play in this one as well, and I took Golden State on the money line. I got a minus 118. I played this late because Golden State did open as I think it was 1.5 point or 2 point dogs, and now they're actually getting 2 points. And we getting injury news right now. Markelle Fultz looks like he's going to play. Giannis is in. Yeah, okay. So Gary Harris is out. So he did play yesterday. So they swapped Markelle Fultz for Gary Harris. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So Nuggets and Warriors. Like I said, I played it. I actually played this about 2 hours ago. So I got it in a little late. And if you don't want to fade Denver on the road, that's cool because they have dominated this matchup. I think they won 6 straight games overall against the Golden State Warriors, but we've been cashing with the Warriors. I got to go back to the well with them here. Triple revenge spot for Golden State. I think that's the first and foremost. The line's gotten shorter every time, though, every single time. Last game, they were 4-point dogs on January 4th. Before that, they were 7.5 point dogs in the Christmas Day game in Denver. And they were 4.5 point dogs in the first matchup as well back in November. Like I said, Denver's beaten this team 6 straight times. I think it comes to an end today, though, man. Looking at Denver, they are 8-2 straight up against the spread, and straight up and against the spread in their last. 8-2 straight up in their last 10 games. No. Hold on. This is the Golden State Warriors. 8-2 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. They're actually 9-2 straight up and against the spread in the month of February. I mean, this is another team that you just kind of want to ride while they're hot. I looked at Denver, and like I said, Denver plays these games really, really close. They not a team that you necessarily want to fade, but I do think that the injuries could come into play in this one. Jamal Murray is dealing with some shin splints, and you go through and read the comments from Mike Malone, and he says that he really wants Jamal Murray to play in the games, but not necessarily participate in the shoot-arounds or the practices, and I think that could throw them off just a tad bit. So he's listed as questionable, not even necessarily in the game yet. KCP also listed as questionable in this game. Denver's coming off a really, really big win. But I mean, it was against the Portland Trailblazers. Golden State needs games like this, and I think that they take this one serious. We just saw a similar matchup against the Phoenix Suns, a team that also had beat Golden State 3 straight times, and we see what Golden State was able to do in that game. Now, granted, it took Steph Curry to hit a game-winning shot, and that's why I took the money line and stayed away from the spread in this one, because if they win by 1, I need to get paid either way. So I did take Golden State on the money line. I think real quick before I keep going, one other thing I wanted to make sure I mention. When you see, and you're gonna start seeing this a lot, especially after the All-Star break, when you start seeing these teams in these spots where they have triple revenge. They've lost 3 straight times, and it's a good team. Now, not none of these bad teams specifically, but when it's a really good team that's lost 3 straight times, but then they end up being a favorite, you typically want to buy on those teams. Those are buy on teams. So one thing I looked at that specifically. Home favorites seeking same season triple revenge are actually 21-4 straight up. That's 84% on the money line, 16-8-1 against the spread, 66.7% this season. And since 2019, they're actually 143-76 straight up. That's 65.3% on the money line as well. I had actually played it before I even looked at that trend, but that trend makes me feel a lot better as well. And like I said, that's home favorites seeking same season revenge. They've lost 3 straight times, but then they end up being the favorite in the 4th game. Like I said, typically a buy on spot. As far as the total, I actually wrote this down last night. I wanted to get there with the under when it came out at 234. I probably should have just played it, but I wanted to look a little deeper into the game, and now it's dropped 4 points. So I still would only look towards the under. Golden State 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games, 8-3 to the under in the month of February, holding 7 of their last opponents under their team total. And one thing I looked at on the Denver side, when Denver's just 2-7 straight up and against the spread in closely contested games. And when I say closely contested games, I mean games where Denver is either projected to win by 3 or less or lose by 3 or less. They're just 2-7 straight up and against the spread in that spot when they have a real tight spread. They're minus 14 in point differential in this spot, and they've been held under their team total in 6 of the 9 games and only average 101 points per game in that spot. Golden State, if you guys remember back, I vividly be remembering these spots. The last 2 times these 2 teams played against each other, I was on the under. I think it was like 234, 235. Golden State was slumping in that game during that time frame. I think they were like on a 4-10 slump. And we took the under, and that game flew over the total. Golden State played no defense. Denver played no defense. Both teams just kind of got up and down the floor. I think we see the reverse of that, especially with, Golden State kind of jockeying for playoff position right now. Still in the play-in spot, right? They don't want to finish there. Denver, Mike Malone already said that, he's not gunning for the number 1 seed. He could care less as long as they, make it into the playoffs. And that division is really tough, really, really tough division for them to win. Now, granted, they can, and they could win this game, but I'm going to go to State here. Took them on the money line for all the reasons that I just kind of told you guys. Also, still lean towards the under. Maybe a Warriors, a Nuggets team total to go under specifically, though. All right, next game up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 games left, and I'm 30 minutes in, man. Do me a favor and hit the like button for me. I don't even have a bottle of water down here. I drunk it all, but it's all good. We'll keep moving. Get through these last couple games. This is a game where I feel like it's Bulls and Pelicans. So line in this one is now at 4.5. I think all the 4s are gone. Total 223. This is a game where I feel like you kind of got to wait too, just because Zion, he sometimes he's listed as questionable. He don't play. So if I want the Pelicans, I definitely want to wait on Zion. Brandon Ingram also listed as questionable. He missed the last 2 games. But he was present at shoot around with an illness. He missed the last 2 games with an illness, but he was present at shoot around. CJ McCollum has been ruled out in this game. He's not going to play. I think he rolled his ankle in that Miami Heat game the other day. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Pelicans in this spot. I like the Pelicans to bounce back at home. Chicago's one of those really, really rowdy teams that are super, super feisty. They're going to keep coming no matter what. But I think I like the spot for New Orleans in this game. But this is, like I said, one of the ones that I'll wait. Chicago, 26-30 straight up on the season, 11-17 on the road. So they don't win these games. They don't win, at a profitable rate. You look at the Pelicans. We know they turn up at the crib, man. 17-11 at home, 16-12 against the spread at home. Recently, the Bulls 5-5 against the spread in their last 10, 6-4 straight up. I'm sorry, 5-5 against the spread in their last 10, 6-4. 5-5 straight up in their last 10, 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. I'm sorry about that. The Bulls, that's what the Bulls are. They're like one of those Jekyll and Hyde teams that play really well. Then they don't play as well in the next game. And looking at the Pelicans, 8-2 straight up in their last 10 games, 5-5 against the spread. The Bulls also 4-16 straight up, 9-11 against the spread as road dogs this season. So I talked about them being on the road as 26-30 on the season. But when they go on the road, they only 4-16 straight up, 9-11 against the spread as road dogs this season. 0-5 straight up are the Bulls and 1-4 against the spread. If you add that they're playing as road dogs in non-conference games. And the Pels, I like them to be able to bounce back. 7-2 straight up, 6-3 against the spread in home games after a loss. And they typically dominate that first half. That's the way you kind of always want to play the Pelicans because they can let go of the rope in the second half. First half margin after a loss when they're at home, +8 in point differential. I think you can get the Pelicans right now at a +1. I'm sorry, the Pelicans first half at a -1.5. Although, like I said, I do kind of want to wait and see what happens with Zion Williamson in this game. I want Brandon Ingram to be in as well. Head-to-head, you also got the revenge for the Pelicans here. They lost in Chicago on the second leg of a back-to-back earlier in December. December the 2nd, 124-118. They were laying up a point and a half in that spot. And you get the Pelicans 5-3 straight up and against the spread in revenge games this season as well. They are +8 when they're at home, revenge and losses. So I like the Pelicans in this spot. I think you could fade the Bulls, and the Pelicans need all the wins because they're also one of those teams that's kind of in the mix in the Western Conference, especially coming off the loss where it kind of feel like they got punked in that last game against the Miami Heat. With the whole scuffle happening. I think they bounce back here though. I like the revenge spot. I like that they're coming off a loss. I do. I like those things a lot. And like I said, first half specifically, just giving you guys a few more numbers. They are just 4-6 against the spread in the first half in the last 10 games, but on the season, 18-9-1 against the spread on the season, which is actually the second best ATS record at home behind only the Boston Celtics. So if I'm playing this one, it's going to be Pelicans first half. Like I said, -1.5, I think is available on FanDuel. Now, Brandon Ingram and Zion get rolled in. Of course, there's still going to be no CJ, but you're going to have to jump on this number pretty quickly because it will move probably to 2.5, 3. And there's already some 2.5s out there. So definitely shop around for the best number. But Pelicans, I think they win the full game as well. Pelicans first half and full game will be the play for me. Lean a little bit more towards Pelicans first half, a little bit more. And towards, I didn't mention this, but their team total as well, over the 113.5. I think the Bulls play fake defense, in my opinion. And I had a bunch of other, that's just my opinion, but I also had a bunch of other notes that pointed to that as well. But top play would be first half. 3 more games left. San Antonio, Utah up next. This is a game that I really don't have a lot of interest in betting. I can't lay points with Utah. I've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 games, and we've been fading Utah successfully, even though I didn't play them in the last game. The Spurs not in the greatest spot though. 8th road game of a 9-game road trip. Now, granted, you had the All-Star break in there, and they got one more road game as well, where they'll play against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Tuesday, I think it is. But this team is 1-9. The San Antonio Spurs are in their last 10 games. And you got a 5th straight home game for the Utah Jazz, and this team has continued to lose games ever since they made the trade. Even with that being said, it lines up well for Utah. It's still going to be San Antonio plus the 6.5 or nothing. I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep beating the dead horse. No way possible I can lay points with this Utah Jazz team. Last 5 games, they're the worst rated defensive team in the league, and it's not even close. Defensive rating is a 127.4 in their last 5 games. And that's actually 5 points worse than the Knicks. The Knicks defensive rating is a 122.4, and they're actually the 29th rated defensive team. This Utah team is minus 12.8 in net rating in that span. San Antonio, at least they are 17th defensively, and they covered back-to-back games against the Lakers and against the Sacramento Kings. They actually covered 3 of their last 4 games as well, whereas the Jazz are just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games. And a lot of it is because they're not playing any defense. So this one would be easy for me. It'd be Utah plus the 6.5 or nothing at all. I didn't quite get there. I don't think it's bad to look towards San Antonio team total to go over. Not something that I typically play. Y'all know, if you've been watching the show long enough, San Antonio is one of those teams where they typically run out of gas. Like, they don't score a lot in the second half. So that's not something that I typically play a full team total over. But like I said, Utah defense being so bad, man, 127.4 that's probably one of the worst defensive ratings we've seen in a very, very long time over the course of 5 games. So, and I don't think it gets any better. Victor Wembanyama still campaigning for Rookie of the Year. They got plenty of guys that can score the ball. So this one would be San Antonio plus the 6.5 or potentially a team total over. Staying away from Utah. I wouldn't touch Utah with a free bet. And that's how I feel about that game. 2 more games to get into real quick. Charlotte and Portland. I'm not sure what to do with this game either. You get Portland. This line's coming down, and I agree with the movement coming down. I'm not interested in betting Portland. I know that for sure. But can you trust Charlotte on a short number? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe a team total under. Scoot Henderson's going to continue to be out. Brogdon's going to continue to be out. And Shaedon Sharp is going to be out. Now, out of all 3 of those guys, y'all know the one that means the most to me, and that's Malcolm Brogdon. I continuously say this. Portland, and they probably are the wrong. They probably got the wrong team favorite. Portland is 0-16 straight up now without Brogdon. 4-12 against the spread without Brogdon in. Losing by an average of 18 points per game, and they're averaging just 102 points per game. That's all without Brogdon. He's missed 16 games. They've lost all 16. Only covered 4 of the spreads. So it does, Charlotte is the right side, in my opinion. I'm just not sure if I'm going to get there. This is a 3rd game in 4 nights for the Charlotte Hornets. They do got a game against the Bucks on Tuesday. Potential look at his spot just because they did lose that game by 36. Maybe, I'm not sure. But I know one thing I'm not doing. I'm not touching Portland. Like I said, this is their 6th straight home game. They've lost 7 in a row and failed to cover their last 5 in a row as well. And Charlotte's been the much better team. Last 5 games, they are the better offensive team, better defensive team, and the better rebounding team. The Blazers just 1-4 straight up and against the spread as home favorites this season as well. So it's pretty easy for me, man. It's Charlotte plus the 2.5. Portland team total to go under. I think that number is 108.5 is what I had written down. Charlotte hasn't given up 109 points since they made the trade, and it's been 5 games. They gave up 97 to Golden State, 107 to Utah. Both teams way better offensively than Portland. And then before that, before the All-Star break, they gave up 99 to the Hawks. We were on Charlotte in that game, plus the 6, I think it was, when they were at home. They gave up 102 to the Pacers. 2 other teams that have tremendously better offenses than this Portland Trail Blazers team. Light years are better than this Portland Trail Blazers team. Both teams are bottom 11th in pace over the last 5 games. So Portland team total under 108.5 is what I have written down on my short list. Or Charlotte plus the 2.5. It does seem like a winnable game for them. The only way I'd be looking to play this game, staying away from Portland with a 10-foot pole. They got Anthony Simons. They got, Malcolm. Don't got Malcolm Brogdon. One of the reasons why I'm staying off. But you do got Anthony Simons. You do got Jeremy Grant. You do got Aiden. But I mean, those guys aren't consistent enough for me. So I'd be looking at Portland team total to go under the 108.5 in that one. And Charlotte plus the 2.5. Not sure. Maybe I'll make a play. If I do, it'll be shared in the membership later for YouTube. Next game up, last game on the board. 230 people watching, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button if you are enjoying the show and all the content. So last game up, we got the Clippers. They are at home. They are laying. I got 5.5 written down on my on the sheet for you guys, and that's what it is. But it actually opened. I had 6.5 written down last night. So maybe this line has come down. I'm not sure. I thought that it went up. Maybe I'm tripping. Total opened at 238. I saw it touch 240, but now it's come back down to 239.5. So you got this should be I think a really good game. The Clippers. I'm not sure what to do with this team right now. They just been kind of teetering back and forth between playing a really good game and playing a bad game. 2 games after the All-Star break so far. You go to OKC, you get your teeth punched in. Don't even they're not even competitive in that game. And then you go to Memphis and you look like a shell of yourself as well. It really took the last 2 minutes for them to get, a couple buckets and get 2 stops. And I get it. I told you guys before, it's going to be really difficult for teams to get up to go to Memphis specifically, or at least in my opinion. Memphis is going to continue to play hard. Coach, their head coach already said that, he wants those guys to continue to play hard. But you gotta take care of. You got to do a little bit more to convince me, I think, in my opinion. Now, granted, head-to-head, the Clippers do play well against the Kings. They've already beaten them twice, so you got a double revenge spot for Sacramento in this game. They lost both of the earlier matchups this season by double digits at that as well. But the Kings, this is their role. Like as a road dog, this team, as on the road in general, they didn't even cover against the San Antonio Spurs the other day, and I was saying that when they're laying points on the road at home, you stay off of them, especially if it's 7 or more. But on the road, when they're getting points, it's typically a buy-on spot. The Kings are 16-14 straight up on the road, 9-6 against the spread as road dogs as well. This is the first leg of a back-to-back, which doesn't make you feel really good, but I think they take this game a lot more serious than next game. They play Miami tomorrow back at home in Sacramento. So Miami will be in a really good spot tomorrow, and I'm probably going to be on Miami in that game. I got to look a little deeper into it, but I like defensive teams that play against the Kings when they go to when they go to Sacramento. So, like I said, I'm not sure what to do with this game. I don't feel like I don't know what to do with this game, man. The Kings this is the Kings' role, right? They could lose this game by 3 or 4 points, but this Clippers team, like I said, they haven't showed me anything recently. So this is a game I'll look a little bit deeper into as the day goes on. This is the last game on the board. It doesn't start until 9:40. And like I said, I'm thinking about under. I'm thinking about under in this spot as well, especially with the Kings play a little bit better defense on the road. They play a little bit slower pace, and we know what this Clippers defense can do. I mean, they just locked up the Memphis Grizzlies team. They couldn't stop OKC though. And locking up Memphis, like I don't really know how much of an achievement that is either. So Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do with this one, but probably the game that I got the least, the lesser of a feel for today. But top looks for today, and then I'm gonna go through the comment section really, really quickly before I get out of here. I've been on here for 46 minutes. This is what these are the top looks. And in the first few I did play. You got Washington team total under the 111.5. I love it. Dallas money line. I already played that as well. Golden State money line. Played that as well. And then the Pelicans. Like I said, I want to wait on Zion and the Brandon Ingram news. But if I can get it, I don't care if the line moves to 2.5. I'll take the Pelicans in the first half. Even if it moves to 3, I'll take it. But right now, you can get a 1.5 if you want to jump ahead. I did not. Portland team total under 108.5. I gave you guys an excellent breakdown for people who joined late and maybe want to go back and look at that. And then Golden State plus the 6.5. I'm sorry, San Antonio plus the 6.5. No way I can lay points with the Utah Jazz. I probably won't get there with that one. But that I think that is the right side in that game. San Antonio plus the 6.5. Hate that this is the 9th, I think 8th game in a row for them on the road, and they still got one more as well. But like I said, you can't lay points with the Utah Jazz, in my opinion, right now. So these are the top looks on the board for me today, man. May add a few more unders as well, but I do like these looks, man. 1, 2, 3. 3 that I've played already, I've locked in. 3 top plays for me today. I may add the rest of them. So the first 3 you guys see are the ones that I played already. Y'all going crazy in the comment section. I'm not going to be able to get to all the comments, but maybe I'll just check them out online. But I do appreciate you guys for tapping in and hitting the like button. Tomorrow, we'll be back. We got 4 games for tomorrow. That's more of my stilo, man. I love 4-game slates. So we'll break those games down tomorrow. And or I might do it tonight, do a night show tonight. But definitely hit the like button for me if you can. So appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well if you guys haven't, and become a member so you guys do get access to all my plays. Last year, we turned up in the second half of the season. This year, we're still up, I think, a little over 27 units. So definitely looking to, continue to build on that, man. Best of luck to you guys on all your action for today. All the rest of the official plays that I do end up coming up with, like I said, we'll be shared with the members a little bit later, man. I'm out.